Rumspringa!
Hey, Brynne, have you seen Steel Magnolias?
Oh my god, yes, I love that movie.
Jonsy, you've seen it, right?
Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
You've seen Dracula, right?
Oh, I love that movie. It's so good.
Lena, you've seen it.
What do you think? Filmspringa!
Hey, Brynne, have you seen Weekend at Bernie's?
Oh my god, Weekend at Bernie's saved my life.
Jonsy, you have to have seen it.
Oh my god, no, I haven't. Of course not. You've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. It's the best.
That movie scared the out of me when I was a
You know,
kid.
did scare the out of you? I have not seen that one, and I will be praying for all of your souls.
It's your Filmspringa, Lena.
Hasn't seen it.
It's showtime!
Hey, all you people out there. Welcome to another episode of Filmspringa, the podcast about all of the favorite movies that you grew up with and your sheltered friend that's never seen them. I'm one of the hosts, Tony. I'm here with my other host. Say hi, Brynne.
Hi, I'm Brynne. And I'm the sheltered friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Lena, a.k.a. Jonsy.
The stone in our shoe.
The
Yep.
stone in our shoe.
Guilty.
So we are in the midst of Halloween season, and this week's movie choice, because it is Halloween, is some will argue one of the greatest horror movies ever made. It was actually the first horror movie ever nominated for Best Picture for the
I
Oscars.
believe it.
It's
Yeah.
the 1993 horror classic, The Exorcist, the original Exorcist.
I would
So
try to do
exciting.
the song, but I always go into dun, 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 but that's wrong.
Do we have the song? I think we have the song. Oh no,
Oh,
producer Rob
no.
probably didn't put
It's
it.
it's similar. It's like do do do.
But you know what? We'll watch the trailer. It'll get us in the
And then
mood,
it'll
and that
get-
has the music.
Yes, yeah,
So
trailer
let's do
time.
that. Trailer time.
A bunch of trailer trash over here.
Trailer trash. Oh, here we go.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. Nobody expected it.
Let's see what
Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it.
There are no experts.
Cricket and worms.
You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that thing upstairs isn't my daughter.
I heard that.
Now I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
Wow.
Ooh.
It still
Like-
creeps me out.
So it's dun, 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 dun,
Here,
dun,
this is it. When you hear this,
Yeah, it's spooky.
I know that music is just creepy.
Yeah.
beginning, you know what I mean?
That's spooky.
And especially the movie poster is so iconic with the way it's lit with the fog and the light,
Mhm.
which is actually isn't that based off of a famous painting, if I remember right? Is what they did
Yes.
it from? I can't remember.
Yeah. It's not Scream. It's
It is Empire of the Light. It's
Yeah.
Rene Magritte painting. Empire of the Light is what it's based off of, which I found very interesting. But this film, there's so much about this film.
too much.
Too much.
Too much information.
So Brynne, do you want to go through the plot really quick?
Yes,
Are you?
I would
Yeah.
love
Okay, go ahead.
to start off. So we start out in Iraq, which I forgot about that, at
I
an
did too.
archaeological dig, and there is like an older archaeologist, and his name is Marin, and which I almost named my daughter Marin.
Really?
Yeah. And
I had to message Tony and make sure I was watching. I downloaded the
Yeah.
right movie. I was like, this starts in Iraq, right?
And I was like, yeah, because Jonsy and I
Yeah.
actually started watching around the same time. And I had
Oh,
the
yeah.
same thought. I'm like, is this the right movie? I don't remember this part.
You're like, I didn't remember that either. I was
Indiana
like,
Jones.
oh, yeah.
What is this?
And then like there's like an older man and he's like doddering all over the place. We're afraid he's gonna fall down every second.
Yeah.
I was like, this poor dude. And then we shift suddenly to so a famous actress and her haircut, her daughter, are in Georgetown. And then it's interspersed. So you start off with all these different characters. There's a famous actress and her daughter. The actress is filming a movie about a college or some weird stuff. And then there's an older or a middle-aged priest, sort of like a Rocky type character dealing with his Greek mom. And so basically what happens is that Ellen Bernstein and her haircut find out that her daughter is possessed. At first they think something's wrong with her, then they think she's possessed, so then they have to bring in an old priest and a young priest to try and get this demon or the devil or whatever out of Reagan, the Ellen Bernstein and her haircut's daughter. And spoiler alert, they do.
Yeah. It's
What is that?
it's an intense film. Some fun things. Did you know what I really loved about this film is that the director went with all unknowns at the time. There was a lot of other really A-list actresses, especially for the Chris role and Reagan, that said no to the movie or they had conflicts with scheduling. But Ellen Burstyn, she was a relatively unknown at the time, and then
she had done some like little stuff. Like she was a TV actress.
Yes, and then she won the Triple Crown of Acting: Oscar, Emmy, and Tony.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you know
She
that?
just didn't get that Grammy in there.
I know.
Yeah.
But
I audited.
Huh?
She I-audited.
Yep,
She didn't
I
EGOT. She E-audited.
Did you know that Debbie Reynolds and Carrie Fisher were up for the role of the mom?
I would have
and dad?
loved that.
I know, right? And then they make a Debbie Reynolds reference in the film.
Oh yeah.
Right? The detective does.
The detective. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's so funny.
So
That would have been amazing.
Right? Some of the other really famous actresses that Fred is it Fredkin, the director, originally approached was Audrey Hepburn.
I'm
And
into that.
she said no
Whoa.
because she wanted to film in Rome because that's where she had just moved, but it would have been too expensive. So the director said no. Another really known name Anne Bancroft was up to play
That makes
Chris
sense.
too. Yeah, I could see
There's
her playing
similar
it.
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Jane Fonda was another one. And she said absolutely not. It's a piece of capitalist ripoff bullshit is what she said. That's
It's
what
based
she
off of a
said.
book, Jane.
Yeah. Speaking of the book, the screenwriter, what's his name? William. I'm trying to pull it up and I can't find it. The screenwriter,
it's
William.
Peter Blatty.
Oh, is it Peter? I'm way off.
Oh no, that's who wrote the book.
Yeah, same guy who wrote the book, wrote the screenplay, and the
Yeah.
book. He based it off of a real life event that happened in 1943
Yeah.
of a real exorcism possession, and I think that was interesting because he wanted, when I read about it, he wanted to do this film and the book to kind of pay homage to what really happened. So instead of it being Reagan in the book, it's a young boy instead.
Okay, yeah.
And he kept a lot of the graphic stuff that we see in the movie and in the book in the film.
Yeah.
So
So I think I saw the edited version because I was like, this is way less sexually graphic than I remember. And then I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm seeing an edited version.
that's the one I just saw because they were in the edited version. The crab walk down the stairs isn't in that.
Isn't in that. No.
Okay.
And then your mother sucks cocks in
Fucking
hell.
hell.
That,
No,
I was
that
waiting-
wasn't in the movie.
It wasn't in the version I watched.
Oh.
Well, I
okay.
didn't see the crab walk either, and I thought I was like
What channel did you watch it on?
taken. Amazon Prime.
Oh, I saw it on AMC.
I rented it.
You rented it and it was
From where?
From iTunes, but I guess I
Ah.
rented not the director's cut. But I've
Yeah.
seen the director's cut, and it's a lot more, feels more intense.
I don't want to say it's hornier.
It is. And like you do with every film. You remember all these
This is
horror
a
films.
theme.
I know.
She's a
You
little
said
girl.
it about Friday the 13th. You said it about Fright Night.
Horror is a
Now
part of Bryn's sexual awakening.
It
Oh, very
has to
much
be.
so. Now those feelings are all mixed together. But it was less horny than I remember because I got the edited version, I think.
Oh, that's why.
She's not the little girl's not. It's the demons.
Yeah. It was interesting. The demons, yeah. It
Yeah.
was interesting too, because with the casting. So the guy that plays the main father, Karen, he was relatively unknown and only was doing theater stuff. And the director saw him in a show and gave him the script after seeing him on a Broadway show. And he was like, yes. Well,
He
no,
was so good.
actually, he auditioned and the studios didn't want him at all. And then the director really fought for him to be in the film. The same with Alan Burstyn. The studios were hardcore no on her. They were like,
She's so
absolutely
good.
not. And the director fought for her to get into the film, and she did.
Good for him.
Right?
I like it. I like it more now.
It's very well
Like,
cast.
They had that choice in that haircut. I cannot let it go.
I know that haircut.
What? And I was like, they committed to this haircut, and that was it. And I was like, I don't know if she wore it to I don't know. I couldn't get it out of my
The
head.
haircut was too much for you. That's what you remember from the film?
That's what I remember this time. I over prepared this time because
Okay.
I was like, I'm gonna be so scared. So I watched it in the middle of the day
Yeah.
while I was working out.
Oh, I
like-
watched it at night.
Yeah. Mm-mm.
Did you? Okay, this is a good question. Did you have a palate cleanser after you watched it with another film?
Oh, I watched Seinfeld after.
Okay, so Jonsy watched it for the first time last night. What was your palate cleanser after watching The Exorcist?
The old Will and Grace. I put it right in the middle of this season when it was like all Karen and Jack,
Jack.
basically. And I just plugged those headphones in and I was like, that's what I'm going to sleep to.
What was yours, Tony? Yeah.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Oh.
I know.
I
And
love that we all were like as far away from
Yep. I put Seinfeld on immediately after and did
Oh, that
crunches.
feels better. I thought it was funny, Breakfast at Tiffany's, and when I was watching it, I was like, Audrey Hepburn would have played Chris.
That would have been so
Right?
weird.
That would have been really, really bizarre.
Also,
Um,
you can add Breakfast at Tiffany's to the list.
You've
never
never
Breakfast at
seen
Tiffany's?
it?
No,
Mickey Rooney's character is a little problematic.
Yeah, it's
now.
I've heard. I've
But
heard.
it's a great film. I love that film.
River. There's a cat.
Yeah. And
Add it to the list.
fashion. Oh, we are
It's on
so
the list.
adding it.
Not
To
the
the list.
October list, but it's definitely going on there.
Correct.
So another fun fact about this film with Linda Blair getting cast, her and her mom came in to do the interview with, they didn't even make an appointment. They just showed up because the casting agency they were with did not send them to audition for this film. So they showed up, and the director was really taken by the mom and Linda Blair at the time. And so he ended up doing an interview with Linda Blair just to make sure she was aware of the content of the film, and for being a 12-year-old, or she was probably a little older than 12 at the time when she got cast, but still a teenager, to see if she was okay with the material. And he asked if she knew what The Exorcist was about. She told him she had read the book. It's about a little girl who gets possessed by the devil and does a whole bunch of bad things, is what she told the director. Then he asked her what sort of bad things did she mean? And she said she pushes a man out of her bedroom window, and she hits her mother across the face, and she masturbates with a crucifix. This is what
Yeah,
she
that's the
told
part that
them.
was not in the AMC version.
Yeah. And then the
But it
director
was
went
so
on.
bloody. I don't think
I
that
know.
was.
So then
what-
the director went on to ask Linda Blair if she knew what masturbation meant. And mind you, she was
don't
how
like
to be a
this.
teenager.
I don't like
And
this
she says
interview.
and she told the director, it's like jerking off, isn't it? And she giggled a little bit and said, have you ever done that? She asked him, and he said, or wait, no. And she
said
giggled
no.
a little bit. Have you ever done that? He asked her. She said, sure,
No.
it hasn't anybody. It hasn't everybody.
This is
Is her
wrong.
response. And he was so taken aback that she was so candid about it and open about it that that's how she got cast in the film. Is that
Thinking about her mom
it's
in
a
this.
it's a creepy, like, that is
I don't like this.
creepy.
But here's the other thing is that like whoever told that is like, here's this funny anecdote
Yeah.
about me speaking to a 12-year-old.
But I wonder if she
And
was actually
asking a
12 at the
12-year-old
time.
about masturbation. No.
Yeah, I wonder how old she was, but
She
she
would had
still
to
had
be
to
in
have been
teen,
young.
at least
No.
18,
Still
17,
not
somewhere.
okay.
I know, she was still very young. But she even had nervous breakdowns during the filming of this film because of
Well,
I
and
imagine.
it's so
all the subject
physical,
matter.
and it's
I
like
know.
I can't even imagine what.
And
she
Alan
went
Bernstein
through.
injured her back during that scene where Reagan hits her and
Yeah.
she flies back and she screams. That was her actual screams of agony because the harness she was in pulled so tight that it messed up her back. And
There's
she
so
got
much
injured.
screaming in this
And
movie.
they kept it in the film. And Alan Bernstein, she was upset with the director that he kept that part in the film, like her
That's
actual
my actual cry of pain.
Right?
Do you hear
I
that?
was like,
No.
Jesus Christ. There is so much lore and behind the scenes stuff with this film. Like the amount of people associated with the film that died, 9 people. During post production, before the film even came out, they either died of natural causes or unnatural causes, is what they say.
That's what they say.
Weird, I know.
There was a serial killer in this movie.
There was?
Yeah, you didn't know
Who?
that?
No.
Oh
who?
my gosh! What?
I knew this.
Who was the serial killer?
Actual serial killer who plays an extra in one of the hospital scenes. Hold on, I'm looking up the name.
So the hospital scene too. You know when she gets that thing in her neck to what's it in the
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that apparently is at the time, it was 1973. Doctors that watched the film said that is almost exactly how that procedure is done. And that particular scene was one of the main scenes that made the audience really uncomfortable when they watched it because it felt so real.
Yes. I was very uncomfortable
I know,
during
me
that.
too.
Like
I'm
even
like,
more so than some of the others.
Yeah.
I was just like, why are they showing us all of
I
this?
know.
Even Grey's Anatomy doesn't do that.
I know, right?
So he was in that scene. His name's Paul Bateson, and he was a radiological technologist, and he played the radiological technologist
Yeah.
in the film. And he killed murder of magazine journalist Addison Barrell and a bunch of other killers. He went to
Dang.
jail.
Good.
Yeah. He killed a bunch of people. He was a serial killer, and he was an extra in this movie. Isn't that crazy?
Well, they shot all the hospital stuff in an actual hospital with the staff playing the nurses and the
That's
the
why,
other
yeah.
hospital people.
Because he was
which
working at the
interesting.
hospital.
Yeah. Oh, that's so creepy.
And so when I was like, watch it, like while I rewatched it, I was like, that dude is a serial killer.
Yeah. Did you know
Still in
that
the
the
movie.
guy that played the older father, what was the actor's name?
It's not Martin Landau, is it?
No,
No.
Max von Sydow, I think his name was. He was actually 44, and they put him in makeup to make him look 74,
Max
and
von
he
Sydow.
was in the makeup chair longer than Linda Blair was to get the makeup on to make him look 74 years old.
He
They did
looks
a
like
good
he's about
job.
to
They
topple over. They did an amazing job.
He
The whole
was
time I was like, this
A
man is
year
on death's
older
door.
than me.
I was like,
They made him look like 74.
That hurts.
I know.
death's door.
I was like, there's my future. That's how I'm going to be at 74.
Tottering over. Like,
Oh,
yeah.
God. There's so much backstory to this film that we could get into, but I do want to get, Brynne, your viewpoint on the film when you first watched it. The very first time you saw it. When was it? And how was your reaction? And how old were you?
So this will surprise many of you. But I saw this film later in life. I mean, like in
You
high
were in
school.
6?
I was not a child. by someone, I was 15 maybe.
Yeah.
Because I stayed far away. I grew up super Catholic. And this was always the stuff that like ghosts and monsters. Like I love that stuff, like gore. I'm like,
Yeah.
but the stuff about like, because the whole thing with possessions and exorcisms is that it can only get you if you believe in it. And Catholicism is so soaked in dogma. And
Yeah.
it's, all the biblical stories about like Legion and all that stuff, and the people getting possessed, that I really just scared the shit out of me, just the idea of it. And it's like
Mhm.
all psychological, and I suffer from anxiety anyway. So it wasn't until I was like 15 or 16 and everyone's like, people in my life were like, you've never seen the Exorcist, you've seen every scary movie. And I watched it and it scared the shit out of me, dude. I couldn't sleep. I was waking up at 3 a.m. every night, which is like they say the witching hour. And
Yeah.
I was like, I need an old priest and a young priest. I and then it took me years after that to rewatch it, which is why I
Really?
over prepared. But
That's good.
I remember liking it because it scared me in a way that most scary movies don't scare me, which was like not in a
Yeah.
thrilling way, but in an actual I'm scared in my bones sort of
Yeah.
way.
There wasn't a lot of jump scares with this movie. It's
No,
all psychological and they make the mundane scary is what it
exactly. And the
does.
fact that it was like a younger girl, and
Yeah.
then, the doctors are like, it's in her brain, which as somebody who suffers from anxiety, like it's like, that's a whole other
Yeah.
horror show. So yeah,
But with the casting of Linda Blair, the director said she's pretty enough, but not pretty. She's nice enough, but not too nice. Like she is a believable 12-year-old
She's
normal
the average
average.
it's
And
like,
that's what
girl.
really sells like her character and her possession and makes it even scarier is that she's
yes.
just
Like
normal.
innocent and she's normal. It's like that scene in Trainwreck where Tilda Swinton is like, Amy, I like you. You're pretty, but not too pretty. You're approachable. Yeah. Like because she just seems like a normal,
Yeah.
like young girl. And so that's the thing, is like she's so innocent, and then she's doing all that crazy stuff. And like the thing is, when she gets possessed, she looks even younger. Like she just looks smaller somehow, and
Yeah.
then her hair gets like curly. So that whole thing, and like, obviously, like when I first saw it, I laughed when she was like jerking off the crucifix, like because it made me
So
uncomfortable.
you laugh, yeah.
So yeah, it was a different realm for me, but I was very affected by this movie for a very long time.
Yeah,
Yeah, what
I
about you,
would.
Tony?
So I watched it probably around the same time you did. Probably 16, 17 is when I got introduced to it. And I was still in the religion as far as Jehovah Witness because I didn't leave the religion until I was 18. So I watched this while I was still in the religion, had been like, this is a definite no. You're
Yeah.
going to hell. You're going to get possessed by the devil. And I remember it was kids in high school that I was at their house and they put it on. And I was like, I have to sit here because if I leave, they're going to be like, you're such a chicken shit. And then I'm going to get shit at school. So I had to sit there terrified watching this movie. And I remember the same as you. When it started, I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. It's good. But then the scene where it's at the very beginning where the mom hears bumping in the attic. I'm like, nope, I'm out. But I couldn't
Yep,
say
that's
that.
really
I had to
funny.
just like sit there. And then when she brings out the Ouija board and she's talking about Captain Howdy, I'm like, nope,
Oh,
this is gonna
yeah.
go south real fast. And then by the end of the film, I was like, I remember I ran home, I prayed, I was like, I'm gonna be possessed by the devil by the end of the evening. I already know I am. I already
Yeah.
know I am. Even though it's not a thing in the Jehovah Witness religion, really.
I was just gonna
I was
ask,
like, it's still gonna happen. It's still gonna happen.
like, do they have that in Jehovah's Witness, or
A kind of a version of it. You still can
okay?
get possessed, but there's no old priest, young priest coming. You're kind of just dead in a way, and they kind of just like, oh, send him off into the
It's
field.
like
You're
leprosy.
done.
They're like, go to an
Yeah.
island, you're possessed now,
So
and I'm sorry.
I remember
Don't touch
getting
'em.
home, and I did not sleep that night. It really stayed with me for, I want to say, weeks. Like I kept thinking about it, and I was
That's
like,
the thing,
it's
it
gonna
stayed
happen
with me,
anytime
like
now. It's gonna
not in a
happen.
fun
Yeah.
way that normally I love with scary
It
movies. Like this
messes
was
with
like,
your brain, especially when you're a
does.
kid. And I stayed away from this movie for a long time, a very, very long time. So seeing it again now, it was different. Which we'll get into, but it was just different.
I mean, I
'Cause it
told you I
really brought
hyper
back memories.
prepared.
Huh?
I
You did?
I mentally shut myself off. I
Yeah.
was in another place. I was working out. I was like, physically do something with your body so you're in control of it. I was controlling my body.
I was the opposite. I'm like, I'm purposely gonna watch this at night, right before I go to bed, because I want the full effect and see if it still fucks me up like it did the first time.
Did it?
Not really. Yeah, I surprisingly. Okay, let's get into
Yeah,
now, and then we're gonna go into the whole discussion with Jonsy, religious
yes.
aspect, because we got a lot coming from a Catholic, coming from a Christian, coming from a Jehovah Witness background.
Got the whole
So,
gamut.
Brynne,
It's
now
true.
seeing it now,
We just
how
need a
was it?
Jew.
I know.
Um,
A Buddhist,
a Buddhist,
Yes.
yeah.
right?
A Muslim.
All of them, all of them.
Everyone is welcome.
All are welcome.
Oh, welcome here. It didn't mess me up as much.
Mm-hmm.
But I like very much prepared myself. Like I didn't drink anything.
Yeah.
I
did
had
get really high,
see,
and maybe that wasn't a good idea.
but
No, or maybe it was. It kept
maybe
you
it was.
calm.
Okay, go ahead.
yeah.
Brynne.
So I felt much better about it. And like seeing it, like especially, I cried.
You cry when?
Well, because now as a mom,
When she lifted up her skirt and says, "Fuck me, fuck me." No,
Yeah, I was like,
that what did it to you?
beautiful. So beautiful. As a mom, no. As a mom, there were two parts that I cried where she comes into the priest and she's like, "Is she gonna die?"
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then at the end, when she realizes it's Reagan again,
Oh, and
and she
she's like,
runs up to her and
Mom.
she
Oh,
goes,
yeah.
and she goes, my baby girl. And I was like, yes, she's back and you got her. And you just gotta do whatever. And if priests have to die, then they have to die, but you gotta get your baby back.
Oh.
I was tearing up now. I was like, oh, Ellen Burstyn in that haircut. You got your girl
You
back.
got her.
No, you just
That
gotta move
haircut.
away.
Oh gosh.
Now
For
I want to get the
me,
haircut just to spite you.
You should one day show up with it on the show.
Please
You
do
know
not.
me. I've had every haircut. I'll do
God.
Oh my
That
God.
is so
I don't
true.
even know if someone would do that to you now. Like they'd
They'd
lose
be
their
like,
license.
no, let's not do that.
Don't
me-
tag
Are
me
you
on
high?
Instagram.
For me, watching the film this time around, I really appreciated what a good film this is. Like,
Yes.
take away the horror, if for storytelling, acting, and the way it's written, and especially the way it's filmed, it is a really good film. Like, I love the way that it's shot. It feels like very everyday.
Yes.
And the
But, like,
storytelling to me was really good. I think that's what I walked away from watching it now. Because I think before we watched it this week for the show, it had been a good 15 plus years since I watched it. But now I really appreciated the film aspect of it.
it was
If that makes
amazingly
sense, yeah.
shot. It has this undertone of ominousness.
Yeah.
Even when normal things are happening, like it really builds you up, even when they're just like doing normal stuff. Like even in the beginning, like
Yeah.
it really sort of like tenses you up and sets the scene. And the
Yeah.
acting is really good. The cinematography is amazing. That haircut.
That fucking haircut. Well, the other thing that really works with this film is Reagan's character starts off with the possession kind of harmless at the beginning, and then it just gets worse and worse till it is like full demon killing priests and terrorizing her mother.
Laughed about it.
And if you look at the film,
It
the
was
way
just
it's
sitting
set
there
up,
like,
yeah,
up?
exactly. You see
She
this
she's
whole-
on the side of the bed. She's like,
Yeah. Exactly. Like you
and then the
see
scene where the priest starts wailing on her, and I'm like,
Starts beating the
girl,
shit out of her.
dude.
But that's the thing. You see the like progression, and it's really the last 20 minutes of the film that's just gnarly. But it's the build up to that last portion of the film that really sets it as a really good film. Like they do such
Yeah.
a good job with it.
And I just remember thinking it was so nice when Reagan came down in Peter Pants. Her mom left the party to give her a bath.
Yeah.
I thought
That's
you're
so
a good
sweet.
mom.
She's
I
like,
like the
you're
mom.
gonna die up there.
And she's just like, Reagan, honey, let's take a bath. And she
Right?
like gave her a bath. She was scrubbing her back. I was like,
And then the
That's
bed
like,
starts to
come on.
shake.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
But yeah, I think I really appreciated the film itself because it did get nominated, like I said, for Best Picture. And Alan Burstyn and Linda Blair were both nominated for Oscars, and it won the Oscar for Best Screenplay and Best Sound the year it was nominated. Yeah.
Oh, we're halfway through. Should we do 6 Degrees?
Yeah, let's set up 6 Degrees, and then we're going to get to Jonsy's. I'm
Okay.
so curious about her take
Crap
on
on
this
all.
film. So, okay, who are we going to pick for 6 Degrees, Brynne?
We should do. Oh shoot, who's famous in this movie?
Ellen
Bernstein.
She's it, right?
Or Max von Snowden's from Star Wars.
Yeah.
Max
Let's go with Ellen because of her hairdo.
Yeah.
And then from our next film, who are we going to pick?
I don't know, Kyle Richards.
Do you remember what our next film is?
She is a witch.
Yes.
Okay, good.
We've already done.
Yes, we have. So we have to pick somebody different. Unless we do Jamie Lee Curtis again.
Again? Okay.
Sure, why not?
Sure.
Okay.
Kyle Richards was an ER. So if we wanted to do her, and we did TV, we could do it.
We could.
Do not give her the credit.
All right, fine.
Okay, Jonsy. So that is going to be our 6 Degrees. Alan Burstyn and Jamie Lee Curtis?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay, let's just do that. And I know Bryn's going to get it, whatever.
I don't even know. I can't even think what else Ellen Bernstein has been in.
She was in Age of Adeline with Blake Lively. I love that film. It's such a good film. Okay, so Jonsy, this was the first time you've ever seen Exorcist. Give us your thoughts.
Please.
First impressions. How'd you feel about the film as far as the religious aspect and as far as it being a film itself in the horror genre and all that?
Well, I really enjoyed the film. It made me miss the days or the kind of films where they don't need to show you everything. They understand that an audience can put 1 + 1 together and equal 2. They don't need a whole scene of everything happening with the mother. They can just have a couple of things and then an afterthought that someone else says in a scene. I miss that kind of filmmaking where they think that the audience is smart and not stupid.
Yeah.
I agree with that 100%.
Yes, so this was a film that I had heard so much about. So everything I was waiting for, which I think is what helped me.
Mhm.
I didn't think it was scary. I wasn't scared at all through it. I did think it was disturbing. I did keep reminding myself, like, they asked a little girl to do this shit.
Yeah.
That's upsetting.
Yeah.
And then the other big takeaway, obviously there's the whole church and demonic and that kind of stuff, kind of similar to Tony. That wasn't something we grew up with. It was very much like, like Brynne said, you invite it in, but since that wasn't something in our church, you had to go out of your way to invite it in. Like those were the kids that like played with Ouija boards and disobeyed all their parents' rules. And I was like, well, I'm not that kid. I'm safe.
You're fine.
You're like, I'm good.
Right. And actually, I remember talking about when I was like late teens, talking about watching this movie, and we decided against it because of our religious upbringing, and decided instead to go with Amityville Horror House or Amityville House,
which is based on a true story.
Which is based on a true story, which is also
and way
about
worse.
possession.
And that movie stuck with me, and
it's way harsher. What?
Yes, but it
Good
seemed
movie, then.
safer because it didn't have the whole church part.
Oh, okay.
So because I had that memory and like association of those two films of that genre and that time, I kept comparing this to that movie and going, it's not that bad.
Okay.
Because I also had prepared and was like this the whole time, like,
what did you think about it as a film? Like the way it was shot, the acting, the story, the dialogue?
Wonderfully cast. I love the way it was shot. Like I said, I like the subtle storytelling. I like that not even every scene was in focused on the characters that were talking. Like I just really liked that kind of familiarity that it bred. And
Yeah.
I very much enjoyed the film. I think that I watched it in a safe place, and having heard enough of the horrible things that I knew they were coming, so it made it less frightening.
I mean,
And so I just got to appreciate it
they made
instead of being like, oh my God.
They made stairs scary.
Yes,
I
they
mean,
did.
and it was like you just saw the shot of the stairs, which you can actually go to. I think in Georgetown as we're there.
Oh, that's
And
rad.
it just creeps you out because you're like, oh, 2 people murdered right there
Murdered
by the
there.
demon. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh
And
man.
so
And the
one thing I
fog,
do
yeah.
have
Yeah,
to
the fog.
absolutely say, I had no idea, and I was super impressed, especially because this is a movie that takes place within the church, how much medical intervention and psychiatric intervention there was.
Yeah.
Growing up in my church, psychiatric care was shunned.
Same here.
It,
We weren't allowed to go. Well, going to a therapist or a psychologist was not looked upon. You were to go to the elders and talk to them about your problems,
correct.
or turn to the
Correct.
Bible or Bible study. And so,
Absolutely.
like,
Wild.
hey, you Jonesy, seeing this film, and seeing the mom take the medical approach, and then the medical people advising, like, hey, have you ever thought about an exorcism? Like that kind of
Yeah.
tripped me up a little bit.
The other way.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like I've seen the exorcism of Emily Rose, later
watch
when
that.
it came out and that kind of stuff. And I feel like it kind of glosses over those parts and goes right into the like horrific Catholic, old school Catholic kind of world. And I think, especially for the movie being made in the 70s and it being with the Catholic Church, that there was a priest who was a psychiatrist. Like, I was blown away. I was like, look at all this like positive mental health shit
Right?
that's happening. Like, who would expect it from the 70s, a horror film and a horror film about the Catholic Church? I'm impressed.
Well, they were saying with this film, because it kind of set the groundwork for all other films with exorcisms in them, that this film, The Exorcist, the original one, did such a good job with showing exorcism in the Catholic Church, and how you have Father Karen doubting his faith at the beginning of the
Yes.
film and really struggling that with his mom and everything. And then you have the character of Chris, who is not has faith whatsoever, now turning towards faith to cure her daughter. So you have
Right.
both sides of the spectrum, and they did such a good job of showing those two people coming in the middle to fight a common evil. And it
Yeah.
kind of, like all other possession films after The Exorcist, it don't seem as extreme because of that factor,
Too
because of this
extreme.
film.
Yes.
Well, and I feel like they shave off some of that stuff, whereas this really fleshed out the story.
yeah.
Because you would think that if anything like that was happening, you would go, okay, it has to be something chemical, it has to be something medical. Okay, well, it has to be something psychological, or
Mhm.
that would be the natural progression. So it was really cool to see that actually happen in a movie,
Yeah.
especially from this
And
time.
they didn't
and
turn
again, within the Catholic Church.
Yeah, they didn't
Who knew?
turn to. It was interesting watching the medical side, like when they're in the scene where they're in the room, and it's all the doctors in the white coats and the mom, Chris, and they're taught, and they've run all the tests on Reagan, and they're pretty much telling her she's possessed, get a priest.
Yeah.
And Chris's response, the mom, is like, "You want me to take my daughter to a witch doctor?" Like, it was interesting watching the medical professionals saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
take her to a priest," where you don't really see that in modern exorcist type films, right?
No, yeah, because like the priest is like, no, take her to a psychiatrist.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Like, this
she's
is,
like, they
like-
sent me to you, and now you're gonna send me back to them.
Yeah, and even he's like, I don't really believe this.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and I also love too that the doctors in that moment said, like, we don't know why it works, but maybe power of suggestion, maybe all these things
Yeah.
that then creates a place for the psyche to transform. And like, that is still some of mental health right now,
Mhm.
where it's just like, well, we don't know why different things are clicking, but they are, and we're just gonna ride the train as long as we can.
Yep. Do what we gotta do.
Exactly. I don't know. I just found that aspect of it interesting. The one thing that when I watched it this time around, that surprisingly, it wasn't horribly triggering, but for me, it was kind of like, oh, when she was getting all the tests in the doctor's office, I was like, oh, because of the cancer thing I had to go through a few years ago. It reminded me of that. Especially
so
when
it
the
triggered you
MRI
that
machine was like
way.
tick 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 tick. I was like, oh, I remember that sound and always getting scans. I hated it.
Well,
But
and no
yeah,
one
it was
had a
interesting.
kid's bedside manner either. You know what I mean?
No.
Like, I was feeling for her so much in
Oh
that moment
yeah.
because it's like any symptom she's showing right now could just be chalked up to basic fear, because
Yeah.
this would be scary as an adult to experience,
Yeah.
much less a child in the 70s where bedside manner, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Where they're just like, hold still.
I know, the smoke in restaurants and everything. Jesus. Brynne, how was it? Because you had a Catholic upbringing. So how was it for you with the Catholic upbringing watching this film now?
I mean, it's definitely all of the dogma and like the Bible, and bring your big thick Bible and make sure it's like the one that you used, and then like all of the regalia that the priests wear, like that. All of the ceremony and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
And like, possessions were something that, and like exorcisms were something they talked about at St. Killian's, my church, growing up. And they were like, we read all, the passages about like the, casting out the demons and all of that stuff. So I feel like that's why it was really internalized for me when I was first watching it. And it just, like all the priest stuff and like how they're like so poor. Like these poor priests are like, he's like so poor he can't afford to put his mom somewhere good.
At home.
Like the priest used to like live in the church when I went growing up. So like it was just wild, but it is like you just believe in it so hard that like and then just the fact that reading from the Bible and doing all that ceremony, because like the Catholic Church is so much about ceremony and presentation, and then that's why it's like, well, that's how you get a demon out. You just gotta do a little ceremony and a presentation and just keep saying it. And then he's like, hey, you have to say amen. And I'm like, I don't know, in a world in which like a little girl can get possessed and you can I don't know, where is God in this? This isn't the turn we have to take on this. But I'm like, okay, man, like you got two good priests and a young kid, and they're like, Jesus Christ, the Redeemer has come to save us. I'm like, Jesus isn't doing shit right now. You guys are doing stuff. This cold room getting vomited on.
Jesus was like, you know what? You guys take care of this. I'm on a break.
Like, the devil does what he wants.
Yeah.
And you take care of it. And I was like, but Jesus is not helping you. He didn't help you at all in this situation.
He did not.
Well, and where was he at the beginning? Because this was a pretty innocent little girl who like they weren't even, that was the thing that bothered me. Like they weren't even Catholic.
She's so innocent.
So how did the door get like when
it was
Ellen
that
Bernstein's like,
Ouija
did you
board.
put this cross? Did you put this cross in her bed? And it's like, where did the cross come from?
It came from that guy she killed.
Yeah. He put it in the bed and she killed him.
The drunken director?
Yeah.
Why did he put it in the bed?
I think he had it on him or something.
Huh.
Oh my God, are we gonna get like a ton of
I know. Let us
wrong
know.
about this?
People
I thought that was like the mom was like, that's how the mom knew that she'd killed Burke, because she found his
crucifix in the bed.
Crucifix under her bed.
I thought she just put it together from the other context clues.
You know what it was? It was the Ouija board. Reagan was messing with the Ouija board. She let.
That's why I won't touch
one.
Yeah, hear that, Producer Rob?
You
no
let it
Ouija
in.
boards.
Producer Rob, do you have a Ouija board?
Yes, that's how we hacked
That's
our
how
house.
Claude came.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Claude, the ghost we have in our place, all started when Producer Rob and his bestie, Miss Stevenson, decided to break out the Ouija board on his birthday. Ever since then, we have a ghost.
I'm very into it.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Nope.
I know. No, thank
you. Throw it out,
ma'am.
burn it, sage it.
So, on this film, before we get to 6 Degrees and our pairing, what was one of your favorite scenes or more disturbing scenes in the film that really stuck with you after watching it?
I'll go first. The
Mhm.
disturbing scene was where not just she was masturbating, but when she took her mom's face and went, and then her mom came up with blood, and I was just like,
Oh, yeah.
so wrong
no.
So
in
wrong.
so many ways. And then my favorite scene is when the younger priest comes back in and she's just chilling on the bed and the other priest is dead. Because she has
She's, like,
such a just like,
laughing.
what's up?
Yeah. She's
What'd
a,
you
look,
expect to
look what I
happen?
did. You went and had
Did
a
you
smoke
think you
break.
left me
Guess
tied
what I
up?
did?
Did I tell you I'm the devil?
Well,
I'm
and
the
then the
devil.
whole thing, I'm like, why did you leave?
Yeah. It got too
Because-
intense for him.
Yeah,
Why?
he was not mentally prepared. Remember, the older
Yeah.
priest was like, "Are you ready for this? Remember, they're gonna lie to you. They're gonna say shit that's gonna pull it out of you." And right away, he started going with all the mom stuff, and he's like, "Stop saying his lines." And the guy's like, "Say your lines."
Yeah.
Which, if you've ever been on a play with someone who sucks,
Okay.
Okay. I know a couple people.
That's
For
my rant.
me, it was the scene where, and I think this is because when I was for our show, I was doing a little research. The scene when the Carrion, the priest, gets the pea soup puked on him because the director told him before that shoot that the puke was going to go directly on his chest, but then decided to do it directly on his face. So that reaction that he has of disgust was genuine. And I was like,
that was so
oh,
gross.
God,
it was so
gross.
thick. It was so thick and gross.
Yeah. Ugh.
I've had
Yeah.
a director come to me right before a performance where I was supposed to spit water at a character and say, "I want you to spit it in her face this time." And I did, and she almost murdered me. when we
Yeah, that's
got
not
backstage.
cool.
And I was like, "It's not my
Hey,
fault."
it's not my fault.
I don't like that. Don't do that.
The other scene I really loved was when this is so sad, when the old priest dies, like you said, and she's chilling on the bed. Because I wanted to know, how did she kill him? What did she say
How
to
did she
give him a
kill
heart
him? I
attack?
think he just died of a heart attack.
Yeah, did
No.
what did she
He's
she
too
scared
cold.
him to death?
I have a theory. So
Okay.
she pukes on the purple cloth. Then the younger priest goes and takes it with tap water and just rinses it. And then
out,
it's
yeah.
like, "Here you go." That's fucking poison.
And it got in his
It wasn't
skin.
cleaned with holy water.
With her
Yes.
vomit.
It was a slow burn.
A slow burn.
She planned, the devil planned that,
Yeah.
and the other priest
Okay.
just played into it. Should have cleaned that shit with holy water or just thrown it in the trash.
What about you, Brynne? Favorite scenes in the film? Or disturbing scenes?
Or both.
I know.
The scene where Demi, why you do this to me, Demi?
Danny. Yeah.
Like, you got my fucking mother. I'm like,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
pretty good. And then when she walks in and she pees her pants, and you can just see all the people like so ashamed, just like
yeah.
look away. That scene was like,
When she's like,
okay.
"You're gonna die up there."
We're all gonna die up there.
I
Yeah.
just saw all the people there going, "Oh man, I'm so glad I don't have kids."
Yeah, kids are the worst.
They're like, Jesus. And you know the ones that were giving side to their husband and wife, going, "If our kid ever did that, we would beat the shit out." You know what I mean?
Then I was like, she's a good mom. She embarrassed
is.
her by peeing her pants, but then she still went up and gave her a bath. What about you, Tony? What's your
Well, the scene Jonsy said in the puke
Okay, yeah.
scene, and then just Ellen Burstyn when she pulled the Karen move when she's on the phone with the dad and being like, "I've been on hold for 20 minutes."
I loved that.
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
Really? Don't tell me. Yeah.
What did she? Oh my god, what did she say? Do you have to take a goddamn illiteracy
Literacy
test to
test?
get this job?
I don't know why, but that scene when I watched it now made me just crack up. I was like, "God damn, Karen,
Just
you
thought
and
it
your
was
fucking
so funny.
hair."
Karen. Yeah.
No.
Karen.
Carol.
I don't know. We've
Carol.
all been there, I think.
That fucking hair. Yeah. So should we do pairing and then 6 degrees?
Yes.
Let's do pairing. Okay. So
Okay.
what would you, if you had to pick a cocktail of choice and a food item to pair this movie with when you watch it, what would it be?
My cocktail would be red wine because the blood of Christ.
Good choice. Good
I like
choice.
that.
Good choice.
And
Bloody
then
Mary. Same thing.
my my food choice, because I don't like split pea soup, would be cheddar broccoli soup, because I feel like it still
that's the
has that
same
consistency. But yeah, that's mine.
I mean, you have to go with split pea soup. Just
It
because
has
it's
to
I
be
easier.
don't
split pea
like
soup.
split pea soup.
I know. So you
have
have
to eat it.
broccoli. I'll have split pea.
Yeah, broccoli.
What would you pair it with, Brynne?
Split pea soup for sure. And then what is Demi drink that he asked for scotch and then he wants it with ice,
Yeah.
but they don't
And then
have
he's
any
like,
ice.
"Ugh."
So you mean to put ice in it, but then you don't. And then you just
Okay,
drink-
there
just
you go.
drink it straight.
Yeah. What about you, Tony?
Like a boxer.
I would say I'm gonna do split pea, but with ham because I want the chunks.
Oh, okay.
instead.
I like that.
And
I like that
then
a lot.
I would pair it with a Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like religious too. Bloody
Uh-huh.
Mary.
Yeah, Bloody Mary.
I like it. You're covering a lot of different bases and I'm into
I
that.
am. Okay, 6 degrees. Did you? Brynne already figured it out.
No, I didn't get it.
You didn't?
No.
Oh God, how are we
So I
gonna do
started off,
this?
let's do it together.
Okay.
So
What
Ellen
has-
Bernstein
What
is in
house has she been in?
Requiem for a Dream.
Ooh, with what's her name?
That's another harsh movie.
We could do
That's a
Jared
great
Leto or Jennifer Connelly.
Uh-huh.
So if we did it to Jared Leto was in Fight
I'm
Club.
cheating. I'm looking it up. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so we could do it that he was in Fight Club, and then we could do Brad Pitt, Helena Bonham Carter, or Ed Norton. But then we just need to get to Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee. Let's see let's look up her. God, I know people are probably yelling.
Oh, I got it!
You got it? Okay, do it.
Go ahead.
So you said Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
Brad Pitt to Kirsten Dunst in Interview with a Vampire, Kirsten Dunst in Bring It On with Eliza Dushku, who was in True Lies with Jamie Lee.
Oh my God, you did it, Jonsy! What was it? Brynne got the first
Jonsy.
step, and then you got the second.
I love it. I like it
Wow.
when we work together. That was good.
Yay.
I went Eliza Dushku.
You got douche-cooed every time.
Always for the win, for the win.
Bring It On. Yes. Grew up on that movie.
Should we give, let's get to our grades for this film.
Oh, okay.
So on our last episode, before we saw this film, do you guys remember what we gave it? I know we should be writing this down every week.
I know we should be writing it down. I think we both gave it A's.
Yeah, I know I gave it an A. What about you? Well, Jonsy didn't grade it. Would you
Haven't
still give
seen
it a? Would you still
Yeah.
give it the same grade, Brynne, or would you go down?
If I'm taking my nostalgia goggles off and looking at it, I'm still giving it an A
Okay.
for filmmaking and acting and yeah, very much.
I think this time around, I'm giving it an A+ instead of an A because an A+, because I didn't remember what a great film this is. When you think about it within cinema, filmmaking, and especially for the time this came out, and the special effects for the time when this came out, it is a really good film. Like it's really good, well made, and all of that. So I would give it an A. What about you, Jonsy? Since
Ditto that.
Yeah?
Solid A. I think it's worth seeing. I think it's worth prepping yourself. Hear about this movie before you watch this movie. If you're a sheltered church kid like myself, don't go in blind. But yeah, definitely worth watching.
Would you give it a stamp in your Filmspringa passport as one of the films to watch? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good.
I like that.
I do too. But it's such a good film. That's the one thing I walked away with this time around, is that it's a really just well done film for being 73 and this being The Exorcist. It is still creepy. I will say this. It does fuck with your brain even now. Watching it after all these years, it still really fucks with your brain.
Palate cleansers are good.
Yes, and a must.
If you've got Hulu, Seinfeld's on there.
So if anybody who's listening ends up watching The Exorcist for the first time like Jonsy did, let us know what you think. Email us at filmspringa@gmail.com or on Instagram. Send us a DM at Filmspringa. I'm very interested to see what people thought of the film who may have be experiencing it for the first time. Because when this came out in the theaters, I mean, it did great in the theaters. Like that's
Oh,
a
yeah,
whole nother
amazingly
topic we
well.
can go into. But people had physical reactions of vomiting, throwing up. There was a story of a woman had a miscarriage during the watching the film,
my
and somebody had a
God.
heart attack.
Because
Like
she had Satan's baby.
It was Rosemary.
It's Rosemary.
So I'm gonna write down your ratings for the next movie
Yay!
because
Okay,
we
all right, okay,
always
yeah,
talk
okay.
about this, and now I'm gonna be proactive.
Yay!
So tell me
Yay.
your ratings.
A+. Oh wait, no,
Yeah.
you got to
We
write
haven't
down our
said-
ratings for the next film.
Next film.
Which, because our next
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, our next episode next week is our Halloween episode. So we're all going to be dressed up.
Yes.
I will be very dressed up. I'm warning you guys now. So you
All
got to
right.
watch the video aspect of this show, which you can watch at Out at TV or YouTube and see what our costumes are. But our next film, we're going full on classic Halloween with the original Halloween.
Halloween.
With
Now I
Jamie
can do it. Okay.
Jonesy's
Yeah. What are
never
our
seen it.
ratings?
I'm going to give it a solid B because I
gonna give
remember
it
it's not one of my favorite Halloween type movies, and I haven't seen it in God knows how long. So I'm giving it a solid B.
I'm gonna give it a B plus.
Okay.
I'm hoping it's as horny as I remember.
I'm sure it will be.
Probably won't be. They never are anymore.
So
Probably
Jonesy,
not.
based off of the movie poster and the title of the film, what do you think it's about?
So Jamie Lee, I know about this movie a little bit. I
Okay.
think
Mhm.
Jamie Lee Curtis is a babysitter on Halloween, and a guy in a painted white William Shatner mask has a knife and basically terrorizes her all night.
Yep, pretty much.
pretty much,
It's pretty
yeah.
solid.
Period.
Pretty good.
So we're gonna review this film. Jonesy will review it for the first time, and then Brynne and I get to revisit it. And I have
Yeah,
very
I'm
strong feelings
excited.
about this film. So I'm
Yeah.
And I
excited about this.
wrote down your ratings, so we will not forget.
Yes.
Very
And we'll
much.
get into some fun Halloween stuff since it is Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's gonna be
Celebrate safely.
yes, everybody
Ouija
celebrates
board.
With a Ouija board.
That's not safe.
Hey, Ouija board safely. Only Ouija board with protection, okay?
There you go. That's the only way to do it. But you can follow the show anywhere you get podcasts on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and I believe iHeartRadio will be on there soon. So go give us a follow, give us a good rating, subscribe, all of that good stuff. You can also watch us every Thursday night at 8 p.m. on Out at TV app and on YouTube. We're here. So yeah, come visit, come watch all the films with us. And that is it for us. We will see you next week with Halloween, our big Halloween show. I'm super excited for it. So thank you guys. That is it. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye. Bye, guys.